Looking to retire at age 59 and a half? What are the pros and cons? What are the things that you need to be aware of to make sure you plan ahead for? I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Trying to retire at age 59 and a half. I love it. I love it. I hope you do, because you're retired, right? At age 59 and a half, you're still young. You've probably got family and whatever. You can go out and do the things that you want to do. You've got more freedom. How do you get that financial freedom? What are the pros and cons to retiring at age 59 and a half? Well, obviously, you've got to do a 5-factor retirement plan. You've got to make sure that you have the full confidence to be able to walk away from that paycheck at that time. But assuming that you've run all those miles, what are the pros and cons of doing it, of retiring at age 59 and a half? So the first is a con. You've got to bridge Social Security. You've got to create a bridge to Social Security. Social Security doesn't start until the earliest age 62, and even that, you're taking a significant haircut from your full retirement age amount. Now, if you're a widow or widower, you could actually draw your Social Security starting at age 60, but that haircut is even further, okay? If you are a widow or widower, there's a special loophole still available to you with drawing Social Security, so make sure you're working with a CFP on that. But for the most part, assuming that you're not in that awful circumstance, age 62 is the earliest that you can draw Social Security. So that's a con. You've got to at least bridge that gap for a couple of years, and maybe even longer if you're working with your CFP, and the ideal time for you to draw Social Security is a little bit later. So that goes to the first pro. The pro is 59 and a half. Why 59 and a half? Did I pull that number out of thin air? No. That's the age at which you can draw from your retirement accounts, from your 401k, from your IRA, those types of accounts, and avoid a 10% early withdrawal penalty. Now, there's some other creative ways to do that. I've done some videos on that before. It's not just age 59 and a half, but once you turn age 59 and a half, really, everything's fair game. You can draw and avoid that 10% early withdrawal penalty. So if you're drawing from your IRA, you can draw that money out. It's going to be taxable to you, but you won't have an additional penalty. Same thing from your Roth IRA, no penalty. Those dollars are tax-free, obviously, and I would argue the Roth IRA should be the last dollars you touch. Let that account grow tax-free for as long as possible. But a pro is, at that age, you can draw from your retirement accounts. You can bridge that Social Security from your retirement account and avoid a 10% early withdrawal penalty. The other con as it relates to income, this one's obvious. Retiring early, fantastic, gives you a longer retirement. That just means it's likely and very possible you'll deplete your retirement dollars, your retirement nest egg, sooner or earlier in retirement than you otherwise would. That's obvious. Retirement will last longer, especially odds are if you retire early, you might live longer anyway. And so ideally, you've created a plan. You're not just kind of sitting idly by with that con. You have created a plan, an income plan with your CFP to say, okay, I can retire early at this age, and we've mapped out a way to structure the investments and structure my income so that my assets can last as long as I need them to. All right, let's jump over to healthcare. There's another con there. You're not eligible for Medicare until age 65. This one gets confused all the time because the Social Security ages are different. When they changed those a few years ago, everyone thought, well, they changed the Medicare ages too. No, they didn't. You're eligible for Medicare at age 65, or if you've been on Social Security disability for 24 months, or if you have end-stage renal disease. Other than that, you're not eligible for Medicare, okay? So if you're retiring at age 59 and a half, you've got to solve the healthcare riddle. I've done some videos on that before. If you're retiring early, what are the things you need to solve? Create a bridge for Social Security, figure out your health insurance. So you're gonna have to figure out a stopgap, some way to get you from working and that workplace health insurance up until Medicare. And that leads to one of the pros, okay? Now, I'm not going to get political, but healthcare.gov does provide a health insurance option for almost everyone, okay? You might not like it. You might not like the cost, but you've at least got an option there. So if you're retiring at age 59 and a half, you should be sitting down well in advance with your CFP, and they should bring in a health insurance expert as well. Lay out all the options and evaluate. Well, do you have COBRA? What's the cost? Is that the right coverage for you? Is healthcare.gov an option for you? Should you go to the marketplace, right? And let's explore those options. Is there an HSA option available to provide some tax benefits to you? Could you, this is another pro, could you qualify for that insurance through healthcare.gov to be at a reduced cost? Get some premium tax credit. So basically get tax credits in advance based on your income being below certain thresholds, such that you pay less on a monthly basis for that health insurance, especially if you're retiring early, 59 and a half. Lots of creative ways to do that so that your income looks low, looks small, so that you can qualify for cheaper health insurance. So that's a pro, that you will have health insurance available to you. You might say, well, that's not really a pro. Listen, a decade or so ago, a little bit more than that, this was a big problem that we needed to navigate as we were helping people retire early before Medicare. And now it's much more, you've got more options. And that leads right into the last pro that I would highlight is typically when you're retiring at age 59 and a half, or you're retiring early like that, you've got a lot of creative tax planning options, ways for you to, if you've been planning ahead all along so that you can confidently retire at age 59 and a half, which I'm assuming you have, then you've got a lot of creative options with tax planning to be able to pay the least amount of tax over your lifetime and potentially over your beneficiaries or your heirs' lifetime. What do I mean by that? If you're able to confidently retire at age 59 and a half, you've already created that bridge to Social Security, okay? And it's possible, hopeful, that you've built up some assets that you'll be able to live off of or draw off of that have minimal or limited tax consequence to them. Therefore, you could enjoy low-cost health insurance through healthcare.gov, or if that's not as important to you, you could begin doing some Roth conversions young while you're, healthy and your retirement's going to last decades. You could do some Roth conversions at that time, filling up, paying taxes at those low tax brackets, 10, 12, even 22%, having those dollars then positioned in a Roth IRA to grow tax-free forever. Also, depending on the health insurance that you have, you could continue to contribute to an HSA shoeboxing that. Again, lots of creative tax planning strategies if your situation allows for it. So, those are some pros and cons. Work with your CFP on that. The very first step, if you're listening to this saying, gosh, yeah, I want to retire early, 59 and a half, or even sooner. Start that 5-factor retirement plan with your CFP. Go through those 5 different factors, all those variables and decisions embedded in them, and build that plan to see, are you on track? And if not, what are the trade-offs that you need to make to get on track? Do you need to save more? Do you need to structure some part-time income, something like that? Take a little bit more investment risk? What is it so that you get on track? And then once you've got a plan that works to be able to retire at 59 and a half or early, then you've got to figure out, all right, what am I going to do to bridge Social Security income? How are we going to handle health insurance? What tax planning strategies should we consider? Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can always contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with the K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.